So here we are, we're on a gorgeous autumn's day. We're in the depths of Essex at Castle Hedingham Station on the Colne Valley Railway. We're here today to announce our very first 7mm project. It's a diesel project, so I think it's time to go and find out what we've got here to announce. There's only one thing left to do at this point, and that's to explain that our first 7mm model is going to be the Ruston 88. So why are we moving into 7mm? Because we can is the simple answer, and the second one is because we want to. But we've thought long and hard about this, as we do with any of our projects, and the way we wanted to approach this was to model something that was widespread, could be used on any layout with any excuse. And the Ruston 88 provides that very widespread shunting industrial loco that was in use from Kent to Kilmarnock. Most O-gauge layouts are probably end-to-end layouts, and so an 040 shunter is ideal for this. The Ruston in real life would have been used in collieries, in manufacturing sites, in steel works or gas works, and even though it only had a top speed of 15 mile an hour, it was very much a go anywhere, shunt anything type of locomotive. Absolutely perfect for our first foray into O-gauge. The 88's predecessor, the 48 DS, was barely into service by the time that Ruston were looking at producing essentially the same thing, but a little bit more bigger and a little bit more powerful. And so the first of these 80 HP shunting locomotives came into service in 1937, the first one going to the paper mills at Thurrock. And from there, they were built steadily until 1967, when the last one came off the production line. As I've said, they covered a huge area of operation, from paper mills to gasworks and so on and so forth. And there were some big customers in there. Ministry of Defence, or the War Department as it was a really big customer for Ruston's. And so you find that these engines are being used in all places. As a shunter, the 88DS was never going to be an absolute greyhound in terms of speed. The 4-speed gearbox delivered a maximum speed of just 15.5 miles an hour, but it could deliver some impressive haulage figures. And it was capable of shifting a 510-ton train from a standing start on the level down to a 56-ton load on a 1 in 20 incline. With the widespread delivery of the type to all areas of industry and use, it's difficult to give an idea of what a typical train may consist of. But we have photos that show consists of 8 covered vans, or a variety of mixed open van consists, where similar numbers are common. It really was the go anywhere, do anything shunter. So let's take a look at a few of the features of the 88DS and how we've gone about modelling them. As ever with our toolings, not only are we producing a number of variations in the first run, but we're also mindful of what we might do with the second and third runs. So although there's some variations that we've included in our tooling suite, some of these aren't available in the first run. Something to come back to at a later point. The 88DS was built in 2 weights. There's a 17-ton and a 20-ton version. And the difference came with the weights that were added, not just at the side, but to the added buffer beams. As we come down the side of the loco, we've included the usual raft of detailing. So the vents are included, we've got separate handrails, separate handles. And as we come down, we come to this little detail, the donkey engine. This was to charge up the brakes ahead of starting the locomotive. And what we find is with the earlier versions, this was mounted on the second panel. But then as the original 80 horsepower loco was uprated to 88 horsepower in 47, the donkey engine was moved forward. And you've got the full length versions, you've got a shorter version, and then you've got a square version on top of that. By making these parts separate and removable, we can swap them over as we need to. So you come through, we've got fully profiled wheels, which we've replicated on our model. And that's the inside profiling as well as the outside. We come down, and probably the cab is the biggest area of change that you'll see on the 88. Original versions had an open cab, very much similar to steam locomotives at the time. So it's up and round in a sort of keyhole shape. But later versions had a separate door and window, far more forgiving for the crew and far more comfortable. So again, we've replicated both of these styles. Windows changed as well, so you had the traditional pull up and then there was the slide backwards and forwards. Needless to say, we've covered this. Front windows, standard size, are smaller, sort of oblong with rounded corners. There are versions with squared off corners, and there are then versions with larger windows, with square corners, windscreen wipers, you name it, we've included this area. As we come round, we've got handles here for the cab. These vary, so we've got a traditional square section as well as rounded sections that are on the earlier ones. Buffers varied as well. By and large, this is a standard buffer, but particularly on things like the BR versions, oval buffers were used as well. We've included those within the tooling suite. The version that we're modelling here, or we're viewing here, has got built-in lighting. That will come with later versions. But the typical 88DS had shunting lights that were fitted fore and aft. On the back of the cab, they're fairly much fixed in position, but at the front, you've either got them on the front of the cab or you've got them mounted on the radiator. So what else have we done? Well, there's some nice detailing going on around the front. As I mentioned, we've got the large weighted buffers, but some of the BR types were built without weights on the front. So again, we've incorporated that. What we've tried to do, and I'm talking over the engine running here, is add some detailing to the radiator grille. So what we've actually done is we've added mesh grilling, and then with a radiator mounted behind, pretty much like the real thing. You can see here with this version that the shunting light is mounted on the front. As I say, some versions it was mounted higher up and on the back. It goes without saying that we've recorded a specific sound project for the 88s, and just as we do with our 00 models, there'll be versions available fitted with sound right from the off. Shunter in a way now, but we'll have all the specific sounds that go with the engine, from aligning starter wheels right the way through to the various startup sounds, going up to the full thrash at 15.5 miles an hour, and everything else in between. So in terms of spec, we've pretty much carried over everything that we would normally work with at 00 gauge. We've got a 5-pole motor in there. We're using Plux 22 decoders. These can be accessed by a magnetically removable engine cover. The speaker, we've got twin speakers fitted as standard, ready to take the sound chips. And everything else is as it should be. So we've got, again, with this being a shunter, we've got stay alives fitted so that we can maintain that lovely, smooth, shunting, slow speed action. So that's all from me today. Hope you enjoy the models. If you look at the website here, you'll find out the specs and the latest prices and delivery. But for now, I'm off to find something else to measure.